So this lick's all about Nuno's percussive legato technique that he uses quite a lot of riffs, a lot of kind of licks and things. And the lick I've done here is it's inspired by things he was doing in 3 sides and then stuff from there. So it's all based around really hammering on particular chord tones, like basically you can think of it like an A dominant thing, or you can use it in an E Dorian context. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm playing these intervals of the root note, which is A, flat 7, major 3rd, yeah. I've got E string in there as well for the 5th. So it's kind of this, yeah, you can use it in a kind of Mixolydian A, Mixolydian context as well. So what I'm going to start off with here is I'm going to do 0, 3, 5 hammer on the E string, but of course I'm palm muting this very lightly. So you want it to have a more punchy feel, so it sounds like it's been picked. I mean, that's the whole point of this kind of technique. So I'm doing 0, 3, 5 on that E string. Then what I'm going to do is play 0 in the A string and hammer to the 4th fret with the 1st finger, and then a hammer from nowhere, 5th fret that E string. Okay, so that kind of goes. Now picking wise, I kind of do a down on the E string, then an upstroke on that A string. And what I'm doing there is a good way of kind of getting into it, getting into that kind of string change, and also trying to keep that kind of evenness so it's nice and kind of punchy. Next sequence goes like this. Now this is a little bit weird because what I'm doing is I'm starting off by playing the A string, but I'm doing the hammer on 3 to 5 in the E string. So you get this doubled kind of A note here. I mean, that in its own right is quite a cool little kind of phrase to use. So I do that, A string, hammer, 3, 5 in the E string, and then I do 0, 4, 5 in that A string. Because this then leads into the next bit. So if I put all that together, it goes like this. Then what we do with that is we pretty much take it up an octave. So we've just done this. Now what I'm going to be doing, instead of doing 3, 5 and 4, 5 in the E and A strings, it's going to be 5, 7 and 6, 7 on the D and the G strings. Same pattern though, so I do like 0, 5, 7 on that D string now. Then I'm going to do 0, 6 on the G string, and then I do a hammer from nowhere, 7 on that D. Make sure your palm mute is still there. You don't want to hear any open strings or anything, so your palm mute needs to kind of move as you're going up the strings here. And then I've got my usual palm muted G string, but I'm doing the hammer 5, 7 on the D string. And then I do 0, 6, 7 on the G string. So that whole sequence goes. Yeah, so basically what we did here, up an octave. And then we jump up yet another octave. So I've just done this. And what I do is I kind of end it short just to kind of tie off the phrase. But I'm not palm mute as much here. If you want, you could still palm mute. But by the time I got up here, I just open up a little bit just to kind of give a little bit of dynamics to it. So I'm going to do 0, 8, 10 in the B string. And then I do 0, 9, that's your major third there, 9 in the high E string. And then 10 in that B string, hammer from nowhere. So that kind of goes. You can keep a little bit of kind of palm mute or control so it's not, so the notes don't ring out, but that's what we've got there. And then I end it off with a little bend up to that E there, and you might hear a little open B string or something in there. It doesn't really matter, that bit there, it's just kind of rounding it off. So that's your whole kind of lick. If I play it really slowly, it goes like this. Yeah. So when you're beginning to speed this up, take the little unit that you're repeating. Just cycle through it a few times, then you can jump up an octave. Do the same thing, and then end it with that, or change it into another lick, extend it into your own idea. It's a really cool lick. It gets you from here to here, of course, and as I said, it's really it works well in E Dorian or A dominant type stuff, or just kind of whatever you want to use it. You can change it there. I just kind of shortened it, so I'm just doing like the 035, 045. You know, change the sequence if you want. But Nuno uses it quite a bit, and it gives this nice kind of real bit of a kind of head scratcher as a guitar player trying to work out what he's doing. But it makes it sound like it's a bit more kind of aggressive, a bit more percussive. It sounds as if it's been picked. Okay, so have fun with that one. Come up with your own ideas and see if you can integrate it into your playing. So this next lick is based on something that Nuno does in the Warhead solo off 3 sides. Really cool little tapping idea with a hand over, you know, kind of Vi style, or Van Halen, whoever you want. So not only does it sound good, but it looks good as well, which is also very important. So this is kind of, you can think of this as being E minor. We're kind of following like a little progression, kind of conversions, which Nuno's a big fan of. Gives you a nice movement in the bass. So what I'm actually going to be doing with my right hand is I'm going to cross it over and tap, or hold really, the 5th fret, that B string. Now the reason I'm going to do all this in the B string, just like Nuno does it, is it allows me to use the tip of the right hand here to mute that high E string, and the underside of the first finger mutes the rest of the strings. So I get a little bit of dampening going on there. Because our right hand's over here, normally we use our right hand here to control the strings. But since it's over here, we have to kind of use it to dampen. And Ron Thal's a big fan of doing stuff like this as well. The sequence I'm going to do though is that. So my left hand is going to tap 8 on that B string and pull off to the first finger, that right hand of the 5. Then I'm going to do 8, 10, 12, 10, 8, back to the 5. Okay, so that's your little sequence. Okay. So when you speed it up, you get something that sounds like that. Now this is the cool bit. Keeping this static, we just move this first finger down. So instead of doing 8, 5, you now do 8, 4. Then we move it down to 3. And then 2. You know, and here, I mean, obviously I'm kind of playing at full tempo, and I demonstrated there, so there's loads of things you can do here. It was a bend there, wasn't it? Bending up to that kind of C sharp there. So you can end it off, you know, you could do, just slide up from there, and what I do is just do a kind of bend at the 12th fret. So have fun with that, try and use it in your playing. As I said, you know, you can use that directly in an E minor context or whatever, but try it in different keys and see how you got on with it. So this lick is a pentatonic minor sequence lick, but there's a slight tweak to it. So what I'm actually doing is playing a pentatonic minor shape up here. E pentatonic minor. If you're familiar with your caged way of thinking, that's like a G form. But what I'm playing here is pretty much, I've got like 12 in the E string, 10, 12 in the A, 9, 12 in the D and G strings, 10, 12 in the B and E strings. Nice little shape to remember. Notice I'm using my first and third finger for all this as well. It just, for me personally, it keeps things a bit more pentatonic like if I use the first and these 2 fingers. You could use the 4th finger if you want. Okay, so that's our scale form. Now what I'm going to be doing here is it's like a little string skipping sequence that you know, Nuno uses string skipping quite a bit in his playing, and it sounds like this. That's kind of the first bit. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to start with 9 on the D string with an upstroke, and that's really a lead-in note. It's not the kind of main rhythmical sequence. The main rhythmical sequence sounds like this. It's that. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to do a pull off 12 to 9 in that D string with a downstroke, and an upstroke plays 12 fret the A string. So that's like, if I just do those 3 notes. Again, you can use a little bit of light pan muting here if you want it to sound a bit punchier. Yeah. Next 3 notes, I then do hammer on 10 to 12 on the A string, start with a downstroke, and then I play 9 on the G string with an upstroke. So if you want to get the little unit, the little sequence that we're repeating through the scale shape, that's it there. So you can just kind of repeat that to get used to that downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. Okay. Of course, as I said, I'm using my first and third finger for this, so you might find that stretch a little bit awkward, but you could use the fourth finger. So just play the 10 to 12 with the first and fourth finger if you want. So that's our first little bit. Next little bit. Same thing, but now I'm on the 9 and 12th frets of the D and G strings. So I do, I've just ended here. So I'm going to do 12, 9 pull off. With downstroke, of course. Then upstroke plays 12 in the D string. So that's my first little group of 3. Then I'm going to do a hammer on 9 to 12, start my downstroke in the D string. Now instead of going to here, which would be the next logical note in the pentatonic minor, I play this note here, which is a really cool idea. So this is the major third. This is a G sharp, which adds that little major minor thing going on with kind of pentatonic or bluesy rock kind of settings. And this is why this is such a cool sequence. It means you can, without much finger pattern changing, bring in that note. So this kind of goes, you know, Nuno's a big fan of that kind of sound. Okay, so that's what we do there. Next little sequence, I've descended on that 9th fret B string, so I'm going to do the same thing. 12, 9 on the B string, then 12 on the G, then a hammer 9 to 12 on the G, and then I play 10 in the high E string. Okay, so that's the end of that sequence. Again, it's the same picking pattern that you've done before. So let me take that from the start here. So if I play with the lead-in note, this is what we've done so far. So we end it off with this little phrase. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing here is I've just done so I've come at this from, so I go, that's my little group of 6 notes there. So I'm going to do a pull off 12 to 10 in a high E string, then play 12 in the B string, and I play 10 in the high E, then 12, 10 in the B string. So it's like pretty standard little kind of triplet sequence, though we're playing it in groups of 6 here. And then I end it off with a little bluesy ending. So I'm going to do 11, 10 pull off in the B string, and then 12, 9 in the G string. Okay, so if I play through the whole thing slowly, it sounds like this. Okay, so that's a really cool lick. Takes standard pentatonic minor, but it's a nice easy way to get to this major third. If you want, you can try different sequences. You know, do something like that. Just run up and down it, you know. Do something like that. Really nice way to lie under the left hand fingers when you're kind of sequencing through things like that, rather than maybe having to play it in the kind of standard E form, if you will. So have fun with that. As I said, that's an E. You can try different keys, try and integrate it into your own jamming and stuff, and have fun with it. This lick is kind of goes back into the early days of Nuno's playing, where he used a lot of these kind of neoclassical sounding string skipping ideas. Now, one of the cool things about the way that Nuno used his string skipping is it allowed him to take like a standard, say like a minor arpeggio like this, which of course is tricky to alternate pick at higher tempos, so you tend to use a little bit of economy picking or sweep picking. But that didn't really kind of sit well with Nuno's, you know, kind of punchy, kind of aggressive attack. So what he did really is, instead of playing this minor third there, he plays it on the same string. So I'm playing basically 14, 17 there for the root note, then the minor third. Fifth stays in the same place, and then you got the root note again on that 17th fret. So you're doing 14, 17, 12, 17, and it's a little A minor arpeggio. Yeah. Then if you were to do, you know, inversions, so that's a little E major arpeggio. So what I'm playing there is my third, fifth, root, third. Is he took the same thing. So instead of playing that fifth there, put it there at the 16th fret. So I'm doing 13, 16, 12, 16. Gives me a little E major inversion arpeggio. But notice the difference between that and the A minor. It's just a little shift in those notes. So that's what this whole lick's kind of based on. So we start off with a little sequence. And what I'm going to be doing here is a little string skipping picking sequence again. I'm going to do a hammer on 14 to 17, starting with a downstroke. Then I play 12 with an upstroke. Then I'm going to do 17 to 12 pull off, up with a downstroke, and then 17 that G string with an upstroke. So when you speed it up, you get something that'd be really quite tricky to kind of do with a kind of distinct aggressive attack with like sweep arpeggios. Okay, so that's the sequence. And then what I do is shift down the 14, 17 to 13, 16, and then it's 12, 16. Same picking pattern, same sequence, but now I've got an E major tonality. Then I go down again. Now I'm playing like a G minor, so basically I took my A minor and moved it down. So I'm doing 12, 15, and I'm doing 10, 15. Now these are quite stretchy. Notice you have to watch your first finger to jump back into position. So you may find that that's a kind of little kind of stumbling block to begin with, but just stick with it. You can just isolate that little movement just to get a feel for it. And then from here, move it back into this kind of little inversion of a D. Yeah. So that opening sequence, that's what we've got. Very neoclassical sounding because of these inversions that are going on. Yeah. Now from here, I'm now going to use a diminished 7th arpeggio. So what I'm playing here is I'm playing 10th fret of that G string, 13th fret of that G string, and then same frets but in the high E string. It's the cool thing about the playing diminished arpeggios in the guitar. Really nice little symmetrical shape. But the sequence here is that. So I'm doing the hammer on, up to there, and then coming back. But I put in a little extra now. So I'm doing like 10 and then 13, 10, pull off there. Yeah, so you've got this down, up, down, up, down, up. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do Great thing about anything that's diminished seventh, you can repeat it every 3 frets, every minor third. So you take this, okay, make sure you do the minor third and not overstep like I did there. So I'm going from the first finger at the 10th fret to first finger at the 7th fret. Same sequence, then I go back 3 frets to the 4th fret. Then I'll down to the 1st fret. And end in that A, that root note. Very, very kind of classical sounding. So that whole little sequence slowly goes like this. And you might find when you're doing you're sliding and then doing a hammer on there, whatever kind of feels comfortable, but just as long as you get that nice kind of little descending diminished idea. Okay, so it's a very specific sounding lick, that, in the sense that it's very distinctive, follows like an A minor kind of tonality. So you could play it over a descending sequence like that, or if you're just playing in and you wanted to get that kind of neoclassical vibe going on, you could bring that in and see if you can take, you know, that way of breaking up an arpeggio. See if you can take that and integrate it into your own playing for other tonalities. Obviously we did minor and major there. You could do something for diminished. Just change it up and see if you can bring it in, and it will break up your standard kind of sweep arpeggio ideas. So this lick, we're going to be looking at a typical kind of Nuno tapping idea, kind of porno graffiti era. It's one of his kind of signature kind of sounds. Hear it in like the He-Man Woman, Hater, Solo, Get the Funk Out, of course, all these kind of classics. And it's a great melodic kind of tapping idea because of the string skipping and the fact we're using arpeggios. It sounds really, really cool. So what I'm actually going to be playing for this is something that follows E major, D major, A major. The arpeggio we're tapping is kind of like an add ninth arpeggio, but that's the kind of basic tonality. So I'm going to neck pick up here. The left hand is going to be playing something like this. Okay, so what I'm playing here is I'm starting with the root notes. This is how you get orientated with these guys. Got the root note here, then I've got this 9th or 14th fret, the D string to the root note, then I'm playing 16. So it's like a 9th there. Then I've got my 3rd, then my 5th, which is 13 and 16 in the G string. Then I've got the root note, and then major 3rd again, so it's 12, 16 on the high E string. Okay. So that's what the left hand's doing. The right hand, and the way to think about this is to break it up into 2 halves. So there's the ascending bit and the descending bit. So the ascending bit sounds like this. So what I'm doing is I'm tapping at the 21st fret here. Tap at the 21st, then do pull off to the 14, hammer to the 16. Then I'm going to do tap at the 21st again. And I'm going to do a 13, 16 hammer there. Then my tapping finger jumps to the 17th fret. I'm going to do 17, 12, 16, not 17, sorry, 19. Yeah, so you can think of that as being 9 notes, 3 groups of 3. And you can practice it like that just to get the left hand kind of accuracy and control the strings. You know, angle your hand in such a way that the heel of the right hand's controlling the bass strings, but the underside of these fingers is controlling the kind of treble strings. So that's your sequence. Then from here I go, okay, nice little standard 2 groups of 4 sequence. So from here I'm going to tap 19 again, but I'm going to pull off to the 16 to the 12, and my pinky is going to hammer 16 in the G, which will feel really weird if you're not used to that. So that's a hammer-on from nowhere, plus it's with a pinky, which is a little bit, you know, it can be the weaker finger, so work on that nice and slow. So you get a nice distinct notes there. And then the last little group of 4, I do 21, 16, 13, and a hammer on to that 14th fret of the D string there for the root note. So that's your last little bit. When you speed it up, watch out for the tendency to go and tap that too soon. You have to tap that after you've hammered with the pinky. Okay, so you can practice it slowly and build it up to tempo, just kind of doing that. So the whole thing slowly goes like this. Okay, so that wasn't slowly, but I'm speeding it up there just to let you hear what it sounds like when you put it all together. So that's the pattern. And then what we're doing is we're applying that same pattern, but to the D and then the A. So from here, we go down 2 frets and play the same thing. Okay, so everything you've just done, just move down 2 frets. Okay, so I'm doing my tap at the 19, 12, 14, then 19, 11, 14, then 17, 10, 14. Yeah. So that's your D add 9 there. Then I take that and shift it down off the A string now. This is the cool thing about the tuning of the guitar. It's exactly the same shape. It's just you're now starting orientating yourself from the A string 12th fret. So this goes. Okay, same sequence. So I'm tapping same frets as we did with the D shape, just on the A string. So it's like 19, 12, 14, 19, 11, 14, and then we've got 17, 10, 14. Okay. The cool thing about this is, you know, you can take this shape and follow whatever tonalities you want. I think you know, He-Man Moomin Hater does that, if I recall. You're just going to do E, then you're going to B, and then D, and A. So you can move it about in fifths and fourths and things, and you get these kind of lovely, cool kind of sequences. But just work at it, make sure it's nice and accurate. Each note is nice and strong sounding. You can hear individual notes, no fluff notes. That's why you take your time at it. But have fun with it, and it's a great kind of signature Nuno lick. So it'll be cool if you use it in your own playing. Okay, so have fun with it.